underestimate the. We just talked about Gavin Williams, right? Fans are fanatics, right? We can't underestimate the impact that it has on a fan base if you tell them that no matter how good that person is, it can be a generational player. It can be the best player they've ever seen. They're not going to pay him. That is cool. Like, to a regular fan, that's a death sentence.
Except they did pay Jose Ramirez.
But only if Jose Ramirez took grossly less on the open market, which is not happening all that often.
That's true.
So it's a death sentence.
But at least the Guardians have had players worth paying money to. The Browns haven't until recently.
It's tough seeing.
Now that's not Andrew Berry's fault because he's only been here a few years.
It's just tough seeing. It's tough seeing. Like if you say,
I get it, but that's not the old. That's not the GM's fault.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. There's a level of time that is together. All right, Mike.
It is time to move on to our next topic here, and it's something that we have to talk about after what we saw the last couple days. We wanted to talk about the Guardians' offensive bats exploding yesterday, or for yesterday's show, and then we had Marquise Goodwin come on, so that kind of got scrapped. So the new topic we're going to hit today, has Tito lost his touch with the Guardians after Sam Hentges blew another late-inning lead?
Has they had some bad luck this year? Yes. Has he made questionable decisions? Yeah, of course, sure. Every manager has. Hentges, he loves Sam Hentges. I remember when Hentges was first coming up, and there was a comparison to Andrew Miller. This could be a Miller type, and they used him as a starter. It didn't work out. They put him in this reliever role. You're not always going to hit the right button. It doesn't mean he's lost his touch. Savali, I don't think they have a ton of faith in him, frankly, to go very deep into games, to get over that 100-pitch mark. And I think, Zach Meisel wrote about today, he referenced a story, Bull, that Zach had on The Athletic today, that he got tired after, through his last start, 79 or 81 or something like that. So and we saw it actually with the Yankees early in the year, yanking Domingo Germán after 5 innings almost every another look.
The game out.
I know, and then he played a perfect game. After he got It could do with where they were at in the lineup and not wanting to see guys another time through. There's multiple factors that go into it. I don't think Tito's lost his touch at all. He's a Hall of Fame manager. He hasn't taken any time away from the game. He has kept up. For being an old school manager, I think Tito has sort of integrated more of the advanced analytics, and he's embraced that more than a lot of the old school guys have. I think he's just fine. It's just one of those years.
I will say this about Tito. I agree with Jason that I don't think the game has passed him by. However, he's not had a particularly good first half. Managers can go into slumps too. Managers can you're making the bad decisions, whatever, it happens. I think there's a couple of things here. As great a manager as Tito is and has always been, and is absolutely a Hall of Famer. He's been a magnificent manager across the board. Anybody in the game will tell you that. Any player that's played for him loves him. His in-game managing has never been the strength of his being a manager. His strength is his ability to relate to players and to connect with players in different ways and get the most out of them. That's the most important thing to me as a manager, and that's his strength. His in-game management at times has lacked, especially with handling the bullpen, and I think it's been a little worse this year. I will say his loyalty to Miles Straw is baffling. I don't want to hear, every time I bring this up, somebody says to me, well, if they're paying him. Who cares? They got to pay him whether he starts. So because they're paying him, that means he has to play every day? That doesn't make any sense. So his loyalty to Straw is baffling to me. Why he plays pretty much every day is insane. There is no world in which Miles Straw is an everyday player. He is the least productive hitter in baseball. He has not been as good defensively this year. If you look at the analytics on it, he's been more, pretty good, not elite this year. Just you win a Gold Glove once doesn't make you the best outfielder in baseball. He shouldn't be playing every day. That's simple. But Terry Francona is still a good manager who's having a bad year. Hopefully, second half will be better, as has been the case many times. Now, I've consistently picked them to still win this division, but I've started to lose my faith in this. A lot of it because of key injuries to Bieber. We're not going to see Bieber until at least sometime in August. Zach pointed out in the article, he's probably thinking late August, early September. I doubt you'll see McKenzie at all the rest of the season. So that's your two best pitchers, or the guys who have been your two best pitchers. So to me, the Guardians are in a tough spot because they're in a crappy division, so they're not out of it. I don't think they have much of a realistic chance to win in the postseason. However, as Zach pointed out, if Bieber and McKenzie were healthy and pitching well, and they did make the playoffs, they would have a good enough pitching staff to compete. But their lineup is so bad. Even Antonetti admitted the lineup has taken a step backwards, which he never really admits things, which is crazy. Now think about this. Josh Naylor, 75 ribbies is insane. Even Jose Ramirez is not on pace for that. Now, let's give him a little credit. He's played better here. And if you look at his numbers right now, they're not terrible.
If he could play against his former team, 162 games, he'd be an all-star. Because he hammered the Pirates and he hammered the Nationals.
Yeah. Well, who is it?
I'm so done with Josh. I'm just done.
He hasn't been that on.
I'm done with him.
He has been better.
$16.5 million.
I'm not saying he's worth the money. I'm saying he's been a little better. I wish they could get rid of him. I'd be happy. It's not good enough. But he's not been. He's been better.
There's two things that baffle me, and I need to figure out what it is. Because it seems like anybody that I ask, they take turns kicking back and forth. Whose decision is it that Miles Straw is playing every day? Who does that come
Manager.
Okay.
That's Tito.
Yeah.
Whose decision is it that Oscar Gonzalez he got 25 games and that was it?
That's the front office. I mean, I think if Tito really wanted Oscar up, he'd be up.
I agree with that.
Right.
So my thing is that's a huge problem. Because the Guardians operate in a way where they seem to be rational and go to the rim, but there's some certain things where they go way to the end of the road, like Boys to Men, like with these guys, and it's already
Yeah, with Oscar Gonzalez, here's what I don't understand. Again, I'll reference Zach's very excellent article in The Athletic, where he talked about Gonzalez. He said Gonzalez will be up soon. There's still complaints in the organization that he's undisciplined in the play. If the Guardians lineup was full of good hitters, I could understand that argument. And Zach points out, well, Josh Naylor was much less disciplined earlier in his career, and the reason he has blossomed this year is because he's become more disciplined at the plate. Well, Josh Naylor's in like his 5th, 6th season.
Yeah.
Why does Oscar Gonzalez has been on fire in AAA and he's been killing lefties? And there is zero reason not to have him in the majors when you have zero production. It's insane. Even if he's still undisciplined, let him work on it in the majors, where at least he's going to run into some home runs.
That's drinking your own Kool-Aid. They get high off their own supply right now.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the luxury of saying, plate discipline. That's something you work. Listen, at that level, you're losing games 2-1, and we talk about the bullpen all the time. The bullpen's having a tough year. How would you like to have your job always come down to you coming in the game, and it's like 2 people on, and you got to get people out? The Guardians almost as an organization seem like runs are bad. Home runs are bad. You need 2 or 3 people that don't have plate discipline and hit you 30 home runs. I don't think they understand that. And for them to keep trotting these people out with no power and then just say, you're reading into the analytics way too much. You start to say people in the organization are upset. And if he's the guy, at some point he said, hold on. This is the reason I'm Tito and I'm the Hall of Famer. You guys go give me some players.
Yeah.
I'll coach you guys we got. We need to bring them on up.
Yeah. And Jason, one other thing, again, it's tactical. He points out, Antonetti's saying that Freeman and Arias, it's hard for them to play well when they're not. Well, maybe you should send Arias back to the minors. Maybe Arias should be in the minors. And Alex Gonzalez should be up. That would create more playing time for Arias to play, where he's been miserable in the majors. And it would give a little more playing time to Freeman and move on from Rosario, which he also points out.
Well, what's funny is in spring training they were saying they can't carry Freeman and Arias together because there's too much overlap. Well, that's exactly what they're doing now. carrying them together.
Yes.
So everything they said in spring training, they've now pivoted basically 180 degrees on.
Right.
But the whole Gonzalez thing, the one he needs to be taking a bats from is Miles Straw, and I don't know
100%.
and I don't know that they're ready to make that
I mean, you have to. It's
move. I agree. Listen,
Yeah.
I said Brandon Kwan,
Yes.
Straw, which is not going to pick one of them to center field or go get 2 new corner bats.
That's right.
At least get Gonzalez and move Brennan to center. Although
Yeah.
I still would like Kwan in center and 2 new corner guys to make Brennan the 4th outfielder.
Right.
I don't know how this is going to Miles Straw. I don't know how this is going to work. A lot of guaranteed money committed to him. I don't know how they're going to get off that, if they even want to get off that. But the move for Gonzalez is to take bats away from Miles Straw, and I don't know if they're ready to do that.
I mean,
I know.
think about that. That's insane.
I know.
It's crazy. Oscar Gonzalez, let Gabriel Arias play every day. Ahmed Rosario, who's been much better for the last month, has to be gone. We have to see one of these young guys play every day. So I think Tyler Freeman's been better than Arias in part-time play. I want to see Tyler Freeman get a crack at playing shortstop every day. So they either need to trade Rosario, which obviously you're not getting, you're getting minimal return, fine. He's going to be gone next year anyway, so you might as well. If you have to, you cut him. I don't care.
Yes, I am, whatever.
But they could get something. Something.
You would get a single A.
Whatever. A lottery ticket.
Yeah.
They've had some success with the Flyers. Trade him for a lottery ticket and put Tyler Freeman there every day. And then, I would let Arias go to the minors right now, let him play for a few weeks, build some confidence up, and then bring him back in August. Have Freeman play every day, or maybe split time with Arias where at least they're both getting a good amount of at-bats. So let's go here. And this is bullshit that Oscar Gonzalez is in the minors because Miles Straw's got to get at-bats. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life.
Is it really? That just popped in my head. We talk about there's always serious pressure on the Browns, right?
Yeah.
There's pressure down on the Cavs. Do you think that there is ever really any life-changing pressure on the Guardians? I don't. I think they're just they're here. And if they do something, it flips up a little bit. But there's no there's no mob saying Tiki Torch mob saying we're vigilant.
Amongst the diehard Guardians community, there are some people that are a little frustrated with Tito at this point and think they should move on. I'm not one of those people, but there is some sentiment.
Yeah.
But there's no pressure.
Is there pressure to win or be fired in terms of front office people now? And Tito? No. They're not going. Nor should they.
No, not really. I'm just saying, do you think that I've never really seen the expectation for them to be, oh no, you got to go to the World Series.
Well, that's because they've always been good. And so when you're always good, I know he won a Super Bowl earlier in his career, but Mike Tomlin has been mediocre for a long time, right? He hasn't won a playoff game in a lot of years, but a lot of the fans want to fire him in Pittsburgh, but Froman's not going to fire him. They're like, this guy's a really good coach, why would we fire him?
Right.
And in baseball in particular, it's frustrating, but the playoffs are a crapshoot. Let's face it.
You don't need a lot if you're that vicious. We need to be careful.
To the World Series, whereas the 2017 team, which lost in the first round after blowing an 0-2 lead, was a way better team.
It was a better team. 17 was the more talented team.
The 16 team was held together by duct tape.
Corey Kluber and Andrew Miller got
And Allen, Cody Allen. Those three guys, they had nothing else.
Yeah.
And they got to Game 7 of the World Series with three pitchers, essentially. One starter and two good relievers. One reliever was all-world, and one other reliever was good. That was it. And so it's a bit of a crapshoot. And yes, the Guardians have failed in the postseason the last few years. But since these guys have been here, all they've known is winning. The worst record they had was 80 and 82 in the decade they've been here. So it's hard to say they should have pressure to be fired at this point because of one surprisingly bad year.
No, I wouldn't say fired.
Yeah.
Usually teams that are good.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Philadelphia Eagles under Andy Reid.
Yeah.
At some point in time, it's like, hey, I know you've been to these championships, these NFC championships, but this year we gotta get over the hump.
Right.
Is there usually you got a honeymoon period of 4 years, 5 years, but soon somebody says,
Andy Reid was there a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Because he was great, and eventually there was time, and maybe eventually there'll be a time with this team, but I don't think we're close to that yet. No.
You know when the pressure comes? is when new ownership
New
comes
owners,
in.
yes, that's right.
That's when the pressure gets ratcheted up.
That's true. See how they do between now and then.
Right.
But I think at this trade deadline, in the end, I think the Guardians. What are they buying? They can't buy. They have nothing. It's a weird. They may do both, I guess. But I would definitely trade Savali because to me, his value will never be higher than it is now. And the pitching market, in terms of what's available, is thin. I mean, who's out there? Marcus Stroman's having a Cy Young type of season, but he can opt out at the end of this year. So no, and he's pitching better than he should be. Now, so is Savali, and Stroman's better than Savali. Scherzer could be available. Verlander could be available, but I don't know that the Mets are going to sell. Bad as they've been,
they're not going to sell.
I still think you look at the other bad teams that might sell. Kansas City's got no starting pitching. Oakland's got no starting pitching to trade. St. Louis has got no starting pitching to trade. Like all these teams, all these bad teams don't have any starting pitching. The Cubs have, as I said, Stroman. Now the White Sox it depends what the White Sox do. They have some interesting pitchers there.
Yep.
Who else? The Angels, if they trade Ohtani. By the way, Colin Cowherd, you guys all see that thing?
I was going to bring that up at the end of this conversation to put a bow tie on baseball. You want to get to it now? That was bad.
Yeah.
That was
You want to play the clip? Or?
Yeah, give me a sec. I'll find the clip.
Colin Cowherd, I'm not a huge Colin Cowherd fan. I respect him because he's highly successful in the business. He's found a niche. He's not my cup of tea. I don't really care for him, but I respect him. And obviously, again, he's very
We have the clip. You ready?
This is him talking about Shohei Ohtani, what the Angels should do.
Really an all-time talent. But the question is, what do the Angels do? They trade him and get a bevy of picks back. I would love to do that. That's what I would do. Or do you roll the dice and try to sign him because no GM and he's really an all-time talent.
You're not a big baseball player. Maybe you don't realize how cringeworthy that is.
How do you not have someone on the show?
He was thinking
A bunch of minor
prospects. So when you say picks and prospects, like that's kind of the same thing. Get a bevy of prospects.
That's giving him a pretty big benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's possible. That's what he meant. Nobody's going to draft picks. And for an average fan, not to know that, it's like your job. My beef with Colin Cowherd is a beef I have with a lot of people in this business. Is they think they gotta be experts on this. And I think fans appreciate when you're honest about the sports you don't know as well. I fully admit, I don't know the NBA.
Come on, man. I missed it.
I don't pretend to be an expert. I'll give opinions on things I pay attention to, but I don't pretend to be an expert on the NBA. I don't pretend to be an expert on the NFL draft. Most people that do pretend to be experts in that. Barely ever does. He has no clue what he's talking about when he talks baseball. So, don't be a phony about it. Just say, just say draft picks.
Prestigious assuming
I think it's against the CBA.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you can't do it. Even if you right? They changed their supplemental picks you can trade. Supplemental picks that you can trade. But the point is, there's never a trade in baseball that the key part.
Aaron Smalley for a third-round pick.
I can't remember now. There are one segment of draft picks that you can trade, but it's never a key part of any kind of trade. They'll throw in when it happens. Now they change the rules over the years. But yeah, you can't trade. I don't know why. I think they originally put that in because they were worried that the big market teams who already have an advantage would just make such lopsided trades, by trading draft picks. I think that's why that was put in there originally. But there's never, it just doesn't happen in baseball. You just don't trade draft picks. And it's never, anyway, go ahead, Mike. You look something up?
No, I was trying to see that there's no definition. I guess it's just in the CBA that
Yeah, it is.
you can't trade draft
I'm
picks.
pretty sure they did it because they didn't want the big market. The big market teams were already making one-sided trades.
I mean, it's been like that forever. I don't recall. As long as I've been,
No, you've never been able to
47
trade
I've
draft
never
picks.
seen.
Again, recently they changed some rule that there's. I can't remember what it is.
I think it has to do with it's the money slots, isn't it? Or that we can trade. The money.
Trade money towards foreign players. Because there's a cap on that, and you can trade that. It's not. I knew there was something in that realm that you could trade.
Yeah.
But that's never a key part of a trade, and you certainly don't trade draft picks in baseball. So that's it. You just can't do it.
Steve Becker just sent us a little note that said it happened in 1965 when they officially banned the trading of draft picks, and then in 1985 it got strengthened when, quote, in response to the Expos dumping first-rounder Pete Incaviglia in a one-sided trade with the Rangers because he refused to sign with Montreal.
Right.
So, been like that for a while.
Pete Incaviglia had a huge.
Yeah.
Look at Google Pete Incaviglia. He had a big barrel chest.
He probably hit 230 with 25 home runs.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys like that who would hit 30 homers. You had Rob Deere.
Oh, yeah.
You had Glenn Allen Hill.
Big dude.
He was huge, Pete
Big
Incaviglia.
dude. He's now an assistant coach at Oklahoma State.
He was big dude when there weren't that many big dudes.
Yeah. You're right. Big hairy chest was always hanging.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. I'm so annoyed. I only got 7 out of 9 in
I'm not as good at that as I thought. I get annoyed every time I miss one. I'm done.
Oh, I screwed up.
Just guess Edwin Jackson or Jeff Frank Moore for every point.
Or
Really gonna get
Sonoris Turris. That does the teams also.
Yeah, babe.
When I saw did you see the one today? No. So it was Giants 300 hitter. Does anybody mind if I spoil it? Or
No, spoil it.
so the Giants 300 hitter, career 300 hitter, I put Bonds. I'm so sure, but that wasn't right.
What?
They got me with Bob Gibson on that a couple
Will Clark.
weeks ago.
I ended up guessing. I ended up doing.
See, that's where I would stop.
Yeah.
As soon as I miss one, I'm out.
Yeah, no, I
get
stick
annoyed.
with it, but
I
it
get
pisses
annoyed.
me off.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting 7. I don't like when I don't get the immaculate bracket. I'm very annoyed at myself.
I've never gotten all 9. I got 8 was the best. And now
I've got 9. I've only been doing it for I think a week. I've got 9.
Yeah, you were really late to the party.
I know.
Very
I
late.
know.
Do you just do baseball, or have you done the other ones too?
I tried the football one once, but it's not as good because it's not on. Why hasn't that one been bought by
I don't know.
another entity? You
Not
think that would be more popular? I found this other game called Global. Have you seen this one? This is a game where it's just basically, to some degree, a guessing game, but you got to know geography. You pick there's a mystery country every day, and you start by picking a random country, and then the country lights up in a different color based on how close you are to the actual mystery.
I would be horrible at that.
Yeah, I'm learning all about the countries in Africa and Asia right now.
Man, y'all got this before, man. It's Carmen San Diego. Y'all didn't play the game.
Yeah, no,
You like to dilute the war into crook.
I don't even know if you mean that.
Where in the world is Carmen
Where in
San
the world is
Diego?
Carmen San Diego?
Yeah, they used to have you go.
It's a theater game. It's like on a floppy disk. You push
Oh, really?
it. Oh, yeah.
There was a kids show on PBS.
Right, I remember that.
And then you would have to take the poll. Like you had this little thing. They'd be like, you have to go to South America. They go to Africa. And so anywhere but the United States.
Yeah.
But if they gave you that map of Southeast Asia, you're out of here. Like, I've seen 2 people win on Carmen San Diego.
Yeah, that was this, like all these little countries. The Middle East is tricky with all those.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Mike, go ahead.
All right, next topic coming up
Thunder's
is
calling.
about the Cleveland Cavaliers here, guys. This came out a little earlier today, but Ty Jerome signed his contract at the biannual vet minimum, which means they still have $3.6 million left to use on the mid-level exception. So with that question, I ask you guys this. The Cavs are $2.7 million away from the luxury tax threshold. Do you think they are done making this offseason?
I'll start with you, Jason. Go ahead. Yeah, I think they're done making any moves of significance. It would take another wacky sign and trade, which I guess is possible, but I think that they are pretty much.
Let me ask you this: with the sign and trade,
Yeah.
you could go over the cap without paying the tax.
No.
What's this?
Oh, no. With a sign and trade just allows you to pay a person more money.
It says
Okay,
it's
but it still counts against your total tax number.
So they still go over the luxury tax.
Well, unless they can match up enough salaries to keep them out of the
That's
tax.
true. Yeah.
They're
Like
not
to
going
bring
to
in
be
Struce, they traded Jetty so they can make the salary work.
right, exactly. So they're not going to be a tax-paying team this year. They should not be. I don't think they should. I think it's the right move to wait another year. And I've said before, if you're going to go into the tax, you don't want to go into the tax by $1 million. Right. Now, you could sign someone, but you don't pay the tax. You're not technically a tax-paying team until the end of the year. Right. So you can make a move now and then have the trade deadline to try and get yourself out of the tax.
That's risky, though.
It's hard to do that because teams know what you're doing and the price goes up to dump money at that point. So it is possible to go into the tax now and then get out of the tax by the trade deadline, but it is very risky and it's teams have done it.
Yeah.
Plenty of teams have done it over the years.
Is Kevin Love's money still on the books
No.
this year?
No.
Because it was a buyout, it's gone.
Well, last year was his last year.
Last year.
That was his
Is
last
there-
year.
So who else is coming off the books at the end of this year?
At the end of this year,
Yeah.
I don't know if there really
Give
is
me
any
one sec.
big dollar. I don't think there is any big
What was
dollar. Levert was 2 years.
2 years.
So they're trying to keep everything clean by the end. They want everything, I think, to end for Mobley. I need to look. But yeah, when Mobley signs his big extension is when they are a tax-paying team.
Which is in 2 years?
He has, I think his extension kicks in when Levert's comes off. I think, but I'd have to look at the numbers. I don't know off the top of my head.
And Donovan Mitchell has 2 years left, correct?
Donovan, are you throwing us in there?
Sorry, go ahead, Mike. Check this
Donovan
out.
has 2 years of control and then a player option.
Right, which he'll opt out.
I would imagine he would opt out. Yeah, I would imagine. So he has 2 years of team control left.
So, is it fair to say, would you say there's less than a 20% chance Donovan Mitchell is on the Cavs for the 24-25 season?
Less than a 20, that's a lot of numbers. Less than a 20% chance 2 years from now?
Yes.
I say it's less than 50. But I won't say less than 20.
Okay.
So I think it's less. It depends on how this year goes. This is a massive year. If they get to the conference finals and they're rolling and they feel good about where they're at and he feels good about everything around him, yeah, he could stay for sure. Okay. And then I think you need to have, technically he could sign an extension now. He's not going to, but he could.
Right.
But, if next year goes well, you can have that conversation with him and maybe tear up the last bit on his deal and you get him to sign a new deal.
Would you have max deals with, I guess you'd be gone
Once
from Allen at that
once
point.
they're in your house,
You can do that.
do whatever you want.
So Mike, how many years does Allen have left on his contract?
Jared Allen has
he signed.
he has this season and then 2 more.
Two
Well, he has this season, the following season, and then the following season. So 2 more after this year, correct?
So in theory, they could be paying max contracts in 2 years to Mobley, Garland, Mitchell, and still be paying Allen $20, $20 million.
Yes.
It
Yes.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't
because
matter.
they're their own guy.
Once you're in house, you can pay these guys whatever you want to keep them, and they will be an exorbitant tax-paying team.
Right.
But that's okay.
Well, it's okay if they're competing for championship.
Right, and they're willing to pay it. They're willing. And then when you get to the repeat offender stuff, that's when you got really hard decisions to make. And where the Cavs get screwed, and the thing that could stop all of this is that second tier of tax-paying teams. And I don't know. It's too early to say what that number is going to be and how that would impact them down the road. But that second threshold is teams are trying to stay away from that at all costs. So that could be prohibitive to what they're trying to do. But in terms of, you can sign them to whatever deal you want once they're in house, and extension wise.
Sure will.
They're going to spend money on a player right now.
They're not gonna spend and frankly, unless it's some blockbuster deal that's going to put them over the top, right now, this is the time period where you're hoping there's a level of development, right? You know, I look at Garland and I look at Mo